It's breaking all the rules. And then we on the move. We got something to prove. Came from the bottom, now we at the tippy top to hold it down for our people, cause we all we got. It's a cold, cold world, but we keeping it hot. With Miss Pink on the mic, ain't no time to stop. All work over here, still we having fun. We say it like it is, ain't no holding our tongue. Go winners on the team, yeah, we getting it done. And shout out to Travell, yo, you number one. It started with a dream that turned into a vision. Now educating new generations is our mission. Ears to the streets, yeah, we steady politicking. If it ain't about to change, mind your business.
Now wait again, minute. Wave your hands with it. Wait again, minute. Wave your hands with it. Now wait again, minute. Wave your hands with it. We top picks like we all up on the gram with it. Now wait again, minute. Wave your hands with it. Now wait again, minute. Wave your hands with it. Now wait again, minute. Wave your hands with it. We top picks like we all up on the gram with it.
Yo, what up? This your boy Super K from Super Sound Lounge, rocking with your favorite podcast, Wait Again a Minute, listed on all platforms, iTunes, Google Play, Tidal, Spotify. Y'all already know the vibe. Tune in.
Welcome to another episode of Wait Again Minute Podcast. Today is Thursday, January the 13th, 2022. Tonight is episode 8 of season 4. However, it is part 3 of influential people in Hampton Roads. So tonight we have a special guest host, and her name is Brittany Holland. So how are you, Brittany?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Hey, I'm just peachy. So how has your day been?
It's been good. I can't complain.
No need. So Miss Go Get It, how has your day been?
It's been good.
So
Can't complain either.
everybody day been good. They can't complain. So you know what? Let me scratch what I said there. I'm gonna complain.
Okay.
Why?
What's your complaint?
I don't know yet.
What?
I don't know what my complaint is, but I'll figure it out before the show is over with.
Oh, wow.
But Brittany, before we get started, I wanted to thank you for accepting our invitation to be on as one of Hampton Road's most influential people.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
No problem. Miss Go Getter just sitting down there like a bump on the log, like she don't know she's supposed to come up next.
Oh, I didn't realize it, girl. My mind's somewhere else. I'm kind of feeling a little. But anyway, okay. So Brittany, can you please introduce yourself to our listeners and our viewers out there? Tell everyone.
Miss Go Getter, when you talking in the mic, you gotta talk directly into the mic.
Okay. Can y'all hear me now?
Yep.
Can you
Yes.
Pretty
hear me?
much. Mhm.
Okay, let everyone know why you were selected as one of, Hampton Roads influential.
Or why you think? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, hey, y'all. I'm Brittany. There are many ways that I could describe myself, but my favorite is I'm just a kid from Suffolk with big dreams. I am also a qualified mental health professional. I just graduated with my master's in professional counseling with an emphasis in marriage and family therapy. I am the oldest of 4 younger siblings. I am a certified transformation coach for women. And I am the daughter of Wanda Johnson and Mr. Drinking on Sunday himself.
No, she had to plug her daddy, right?
You know I had to.
That's good. That's good. So how did you feel when you learned that your name was one, like somebody actually thought enough of you to put your name in the hat, so to speak?
When I first seen it, it always kind of throws me for a loop in a sense because sometimes you don't know the impact that you have on others until they tell you.
Right.
And so that's kind of how I felt like I didn't know that I had the impact that I had until someone was like, hey, you inspire me. And I'm like, I wouldn't have never known if you didn't tell me because I'm just kind of going through the day to day.
Right. Doing what you, doing what you called to do. So now I know how many siblings you have. I know who's your mom and who's your dad. But as a little girl, like, how were you? Like, were you like into everything, or you were kind of quiet and reserved? Like,
Quiet.
You were quiet?
No.
Oh.
Oh my. I actually got an X in the box for talking too much on all of my report cards.
Really?
Hold on.
Yes.
I wouldn't have never.
So you had good grades, but you were talkative in class.
I had okay grades and I was talkative in class.
Oh, well, enlighten me then. Okay.
So
Oh wow.
Growing up, my grades were okay.
Mhm.
I can vividly remember like my 5th grade teacher actually thinking I was a little delayed because
Oh my God.
I'm just being
Wait a
honest.
minute, not delayed.
Yeah, delayed. She thought I was a little delayed because all of my peers could read, but I
Mhm.
was having a hard time reading. And so she would pull me to the side for a small group to read, and then she would reach out to my parents like, "Hey, Brittany is struggling with reading. We're gonna need you to do some extra work at home." And
Right.
so
Right.
I had to work a little bit harder to catch up with the rest of my peers.
Okay.
But then on top of that, I talked a lot. And so are you reading or talking, Brittany?
Right.
So,
Exactly.
so
Yeah.
what was the outcome? So did she do any evaluations or anything to determine if it was just that you was talking more than you was actually reading?
I was definitely talking more than I was reading. But she did tell me like she believed in me. She
Uh-huh.
knew that I could do it if I just put my mind to it, but I wanted to socialize with my friends.
Oh, so you ain't want to read then? You. Oh, so you were just being defiant.
Sadly.
Dang. Well, at least you're honest. And then I guess as time went on, you decided being talkative wasn't a thing to do, or did you still talk?
Oh no, my daddy decided for me that talking in class excessively was not the thing.
Was not. Oh, you know what?
Mhm.
And I could see him doing that too. Because he looks like he's very authoritative. Like like him, like he don't play,
Mm-mm.
especially when it comes to school and grades and stuff like that or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we had a nice talk afterwards. When I got the report card that said excessively talking, it was okay. Yeah, this is not going to cut it.
Yeah. Well, at least, but did you listen?
Yeah, a little
Okay.
bit.
Well then, that's well. Hey, I don't know. I can't say nothing behind that one.
It just took some time.
Right.
It
Right.
just took some time, but eventually, yes, I did.
Okay. Well, that's good. Okay, so you were you were talkative as when you were younger, and then at what point, like put it this way, when you were younger, was your hope and dream to be what you're doing today, or was it something different?
So it's kind of a twofold. So when I was younger, and I would say about 5th grade because that was like the most impressionable year for me.
Mm-hmm.
I would have my friends come over and I would use my little sister table and chairs, and I would have her tables and chairs in the hallway, and I would invite my friends in, and I would let them sit down and be the students, and I would pretend I was a teacher. And so in one fold, yes, because when I was younger, I wanted to be a teacher.
Okay.
That was my goal, that was my dream because
Mhm.
my teacher was so impressionable on me that I'm like, "Oh, I want to do whatever she doing."
Right, right. That's some good stuff. Yeah, that's definitely some good stuff.
Yeah.
Miss Gogan, you got something you want to say? Cause you sit down there just like reading.
Oh no, I was just sitting here listening. Y'all was talking. I was just sitting here
I don't
listening.
know why it seemed like we're having a hard time with that mic down there. Because when you talking to us, I know you're trying to look at us, but you might have to just look at the other cameras and then talk.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Good.
y'all can hear me before.
No, and then you
Oh.
you speak so low.
Oh no, I was just sitting here listening because I was going to ask her about did she always want to do what she's doing now as far as mental health, but I think you just asked her that. But anyway, I'm going to ask you anyway. As far as like I know you're a life coach and
Mhm.
you coach women. Do you
Mhm.
coach men, just women?
Just women.
Okay, is that something that you grew into, or is that something that you always wanted to do as far as be a coach? Because I don't know of most people that say, "Hey, when I grow up, I want to be a life coach." So I wonder, how did that come about as far as being a life coach? And I can see you maybe wanting to do mental health,
Mhm.
but how did the life coach come into play?
So you are absolutely right. When I was younger, it never crossed my mind that, oh, when I get older, I'm going to be a life coach. Like, no,
Right.
that
Mhm.
wasn't that wasn't my goal. So I actually attended a few women empowerment conferences.
Mm-hmm.
I went to a few with Sarah Jakes Roberts and
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Yeah.
Alex L. And when I was
Mhm.
in those environments surrounded by all of those women, I realized that we had one thing in common, and that was that we were allowing our circumstances, our mindsets, and our beliefs to keep us stuck. And I couldn't help but
Mm.
think how many other women in the world are allowing their limited beliefs to hold them back. You know how sometimes you want more, you can do more, but you're
Right.
just so comfortable with where you
Where
are
you
that you
at?
don't
Right.
really go for it.
Mhm.
And so
Out of your comfort zone.
yeah, out of your
Yeah.
comfort zone. And so that's in those moments I was like, "Oh, I probably could do something like this where I am." And that's where the idea was born. It was being surrounded by so many women and realizing, oh, that was the commonality between all of us. And then wanting to provide and create a safe space for women to be able to identify, okay, where did the limiting belief start?
Mhm.
How did it affect you? Like, how did the pain affect you? How did the disappointment affect you? How did the one parent household affect you? And how you show up in your relationships and your adult life.
Okay.
Mm. Okay.
Oh, that was deep.
Yeah, that
Oh, I
yeah.
like that. And
That,
you figured and learned all of this from that conference.
I went to a few, and as I continued to go to them, I
Mhm.
realized that that
Okay.
was the common theme. Like, it was the limiting beliefs. Like, I mean, I feel like I kind of can do it, or
Mhm.
I kind of can have what I want, but then again, maybe I'm not supposed to. Maybe I don't deserve it. Maybe I'm not worthy. And so I wanted to create a space where we can challenge those thoughts,
Okay.
and then also get equipped to navigate those thoughts and how to overcome them. Not we just have them and we confront them, but also how do we move from I have this limiting belief to I have this unlimited belief, because the only beliefs or limited beliefs that we have are the ones that we place on ourselves.
Okay.
mhm.
So did you also use that same learning technique, those techniques, did you apply that to yourself? And that's how you figured, like, hey, let me go out and share.
Absolutely. I started
Okay.
with myself because I realized that the only way that I could help anyone else was
Mhm.
to first challenge mine.
That's
Oh,
right.
I like
okay.
to speak from experience. So I want someone to know that, hey, I was once in your shoes and
Mhm.
Mhm.
these are some things that could work for you.
Oh, wow. Oh, that sounds really interesting. Oh, that was deep. I like
Yeah.
that. I
Yeah.
do, because being a life coach, it's like, how do one become a life coach? Like, I've never, even when you do like career day in school and stuff like that, that's not something that you hear.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, how did she come about saying she's gonna be a life coach? Now, how do you tie in your mental health and your life coach techniques? How do you tie them in together? Because with your mental health, you're normally, are you doing children or adults?
I'm doing adults and children.
Okay, okay. So how do you, with the young ladies, let's say with the little girl,
Hmm.
do you use your mental health? Okay, a young girl needing mental health, do you use your life coach techniques with that little girl so she can avoid growing up being the young lady that's insecure, or the young lady that's doubtful of herself?
So to answer that question, it's a little bit different
Mhm.
between the life coaching and mental health, because there are certain regulations and rules that you
Mhm.
have to follow when it comes to mental health.
Right.
So if someone is seeking therapy, um there are specific things that I could use to help them in those areas, but with life coaching it may be a little bit it'll be a little bit different in the techniques that I can use
Okay.
by law.
Oh, okay, okay. So you can't really like mix the two as far as when you're trying to bring a little girl up and get her to
No,
feel
you
confident
can't.
about herself. Okay.
It's
I
like a
didn't know
conflict of
that.
interest. Hmm.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
So Black
Oh, wow.
Goku, I think that's what it is. Says if I'm speaking to a life coach, I'd rather it be with someone who is relatable and has experience when I'm going through. Do you think that's a fair statement?
I do. I think it's fair because I actually hired a life coach, and that's how I've decided that I wanted to take that route. And for me, when I'm thinking about a life coach or a mentor or
Mhm.
something of that sort, I want it to be somebody that I can relate to.
That's
Like, I
right.
want to know that you've been in my shoes before and that you're speaking from a
From
space of
experience.
experience.
That's right. That's right.
I don't want to hear about the hypotheticals, because if you haven't lived it, then how can you really tell me how I should feel or how I should navigate it?
Hold on, y'all. Let me tell y'all something. First of all, she comes in here. She said she was nervous.
I am
But when we
nervous.
start talking about something that she knows, I'm talking about confidence. Like it's
Right.
exuding. I'm looking at her like she's my child. Like, where did this come from?
Right.
But I
Okay,
love it though. But I get it. I
I
get
am
it.
still nervous,
I get it.
but I'm here.
I get it. I get it. I get it. But you know what? And you're exactly right, because you do want to, somebody that's who's before you that has been through it,
Yeah.
because you're like, yeah, you telling me far as what textbook says, but like you said, they haven't lived it, so it's
Mhm.
totally different. So I get it. Okay, but you dealing with that, like I have a question for you.
Okay.
Now, if you have siblings, right? and everybody had, but you have something in common. You may have a common dad or mom. So that means that it may possibly be two different households, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have the two different households, how do you feel if there is a difference, like far as the child growing up? Because 1 week they over here with the dad, 1 week they over here with the mom, or however it's done. Like, at any point, does the child get confused? Like, what role does it play in them as being an adult?
So for this question, I'm going to answer from experience because
Okay.
my mom and my dad had joint custody of me,
Okay.
and the households were regulated in different ways. And so in one space, I may be able to function in one way, and then in
Mhm.
another space that may be completely unacceptable. So a child may get confused because in one household it's acceptable to do something, and then in another household it's not acceptable. So I think it just comes to trying to find some type of common ground
Right.
Right.
to navigate it. But as a child, it really is a tricky place to be in, because if mama say this can't go, then it doesn't matter what's going on in the other household, because in my household you're going to follow my rules and vice versa.
Mhm.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. Right.
So, but by being a child, like far as you, so you had to learn how to figure out a balance between the two. But
Yes.
far as but what role did it play, if any, in your adulthood?
So definitely had to find a balance in the two. And I think the biggest thing is that the biggest role that it played in my life is understanding that two things can coexist.
Gotcha.
I feel like we often live in a black and white world where everything is not black and white. There are a lot of gray areas.
Right.
Exactly.
And so it helped me learn to navigate the gray areas in my life.
Mm.
And make it work for you.
Yes.
Oh, she's
Gotcha.
not nervous
Gotcha.
anymore.
No, not at all. I love it though.
Definitely
I love it. Faye Mitchell asked, "Can you share a life coach experience with us without saying the person name, just like something that somebody you worked with before or situation?"
Yes. So the experience that I'll share is with a young lady who is trying to navigate relationships. And one thing that she's dealing with is that she has basically made all of her goals around her relationship
Mm-hmm.
versus her goals being around what would truly make her happy. And so one thing that we're working on is putting yourself first and what you
Right.
value. Because what I'm saying is, if the relationship doesn't work out, will you be satisfied with the decisions that you made based around the relationship?
Mm.
That's right. That's right.
So that basically plays into, like, you're kind of like building up her self-esteem
Right.
for her, because at the end of the day, regardless of whatever, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Whatever is going on, she has to be able to function whether she's in a situation or not.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, wow, that's
Right. Because if I'm not understanding, that makes sense, because if she's doing setting her whole goals, meaning she's setting her life plans based on this relationship,
mm-hmm.
but that relationship might not work out. And then if your whole life plan is based on this relationship, but the relationship splits, then it's almost like, well, now what you do you regroup and do a whole nother life plan, or do
Mm-hmm.
you change your goals?
Yeah, and what I will say is that from the clients that I have worked with, it's hard to pick up the pieces after you have basically
Right.
put your whole life based around someone else.
Right.
And so when that person leaves, okay, so what are you left with other than this all of the decisions that you have made based around that person? You never took into account how it affected you, how it would affect you, and if you would be happy when it was all said and done. And so my advice will always be to make sure that you're putting yourself and your goals first,
That's
so
right.
that if something doesn't work out, then you're not scrambling to pick up the pieces and
Right.
figure out where to start again.
Right. And then also you will still have a hold of your happiness.
Yes.
Right, yeah.
Because if you're making your happiness, which whatever goals you set around this person, then when that person leave, you falling apart and you're saying you're not happy because your happiness walked out. But
Yes.
if you make it about you, then you will still have your peace and your happiness. It wouldn't be so hard.
Yes. because your partner should be adding on to what you already have. They shouldn't
Exactly.
be the center of everything that you have.
Right,
That's
right,
my opinion.
right.
So that if something doesn't work out well, I'm still happy because I'm happy as an individual, and you just
Correct.
added on to what the
Correct.
happiness that I already
And
had.
that's
Ooh,
what I tell
okay.
people a lot of times. Like when people come into your life, whether it's a friendship, relationship, or whatever,
Yes.
it should be an
Right.
enhancement of your happiness
Mm-hmm.
because you should already be internally happy with you.
Right.
So it's just like when you were sitting there speaking, it reminded me of that what was Steve Harvey was saying about everybody, people pouring into people. Like I have a Coke bottle, but I'm pouring into your cap. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't make sense
Mm-hmm.
because I'm gonna pour everything I got, 16-ounce bottle, into you to a cap.
Right.
So you're gonna be overflowed, like,
Yes.
and the capacity is small. So yeah,
And
definitely
then you're gonna be empty.
gonna be
Right.
empty. That's absolutely correct. Absolutely correct.
Oh, I like that. Oh, let me find out you up here giving us a little life coach skill
Li-
building right
right,
now.
because it's making me think, like, because a lot of, and it's not crazy, but it's great that you are working with young girls because a lot of them don't have, or uh, far as self-esteem,
Mm-hmm.
they're and I
Right.
don't know if it may be hereditary, or whatever it is, but when you build them up, it makes a lot of things in their life flow better.
Yeah.
Right. And that's why I was asking, could you mix the two? But you say you can't because if working with a child here, a little girl here, but could you like give her a little bit of the life coach, pep talk so she
Mm-hmm.
can already be like well aware of different things like as far as make your goals about you something that you would tell an adult that
Mm-hmm.
you're providing life coach services to, but you say you can't mix, which I find that kind of like, oh, like, why can't you? That seemed like it would start with them as a child, build them
Yeah.
up so they won't have to wait till they about 25, 30, or 40 to come say, well, let me get me a life coach now. And then you telling them something that would have been more appreciated as a 16-year-old because they
And
already know what to do.
yeah, and that's what I like about mentoring because I can just speak from a free space of
Right.
I've been there,
Right.
I've been you, and I want to teach you the things that I learned late early so that you
Mm-hmm.
won't have to make
Right.
the same
Right.
mistakes.
Right.
Okay.
Correct.
So your mentor, when you do your mentor, you doing them at the school, correct?
Sometimes it's at the school, and then I was also doing them at the library on the weekends.
Oh, so how do you go about selecting your young ladies or your young men? How you go about selecting them?
So I actually would just post it on social media, and then there would be an email that you would send to sign up to solidify your spot.
Oh, okay. All right. That's good.
And so it was just open to anyone who wanted to receive the mentorship.
Right.
And
N-
it's free.
Yes, it was free.
Oh,
Mhm.
So how important, because I just caught what you just said when you said you learned it later, but you want
mhm.
to encourage them to, get it early on. How important do you think a life coach is, or what you actually doing for the young girls? Like, how important is it?
I think it's very important, but it also goes back to what type of household you're growing up in and what type of environments you are exposed to.
Mhm.
I think
Okay.
that will determine how impactful it will be. If you're growing up in an environment where you're constantly feeling love, you're constantly feeling value, you're constantly feeling seen, the mentorship may just be an addition. But if you're growing up
Right.
in an environment where those things are non-existent, the mentorship might be everything because it may be the first time that you actually feel seen as a human, as a person, as a child.
Wow. I gotta find another word because wild not gonna be it tonight. Like wild's not gonna be it. But I wanted to know, okay, like when you're actually talking to these young ladies or whoever you are mentoring, or what does it do for you? Like you and your mental,
Oh
and
yeah.
you and your heart. Like how
Oh
does it make you feel?
Well, I'm a softie.
Oh.
So it pretty much melts my heart, especially when they can verbalize how impactful it is and how it's changing their lives. It lets me know that it's purposeful and that it is serving its purpose, that it's not going in vain.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, Faye Mitchell says, why do we as parents have to feel like we're walking on eggshells around a child who has mental health issues?
I personally believe that in the Black community, mental health is basically shunned upon,
Mhm.
or needing help or asking for help or seeking help, it means that you have to be crazy or you have to be losing your mind or something has to be wrong with you, quote unquote.
Right.
And so we are we're moving into a space where it's more accepted, but there is still a stigma. We would rather suffer in silence than say, "Hey, this is just way too much. I can't take it.
Mhm.
Where
Mhm.
can I find help?"
Right. So when you have a child who has mental issues, like as a parent, how can we what can we do if that person has mental issues and we don't want to set them off? Like say if they are schizophrenic or something, like, and we feel as though we don't want to say anything because we don't want to push him or her to that point, and then it'd be like a big, explosion or whatever in the house. Like how what can we do if anything?
So I think the biggest thing is depending on what type of services the child is receiving, the first thing would be to learn about the triggers. What sets the child off
Right,
so
right,
that we can navigate how we're going to move in our home environment so that if we set them off, we have some type of coping skills in place to kind of mitigate the situation.
right. Okay, okay. So basically, we have to be
Proactive.
right
Right.
instead of reactive.
Yes.
Right.
So
So
basically, you suggest that as a parent, you should kind of learn about the diagnosis as well.
Absolutely, because there are many like parent support groups. The parent can receive some type of therapy or assistance to better learn how do I help my child in this situation, because
mhm,
every situation is different and what may
that's
work
right.
for one parent and one child may not work for you and your child. And so
Right.
you're going to have to kind of go through the
Emotions.
motions to
Yeah.
figure out what is best going to work for you and your family or you and your child.
So it's definitely going to be like a constant battle. It depend,
Right.
to figure out what actually works, and then what if you go to counseling or whatever it is tools that you need, and it was working, but then all of a sudden now it's not working. So we still have to be like you said, find a middle ground to figure out how we're gonna do it.
Yes.
I'd be like it's too much. I'll
Right.
take what you just said. You know what? It's just too much. You know what? You can have the house because I done all I can do. So
But that goes back
you can go ahead
to
of the house.
as well. Like if okay, some people, especially in the black community, you have a child and your child could be just bad. You be like, oh, you're just so bad, and they just constantly cutting up. The more you talk to them, the more you beat them, they steady doing the same thing. Nothing
Mhm.
really changes. At what point should you actually say, hey, you know what? Let me go get my child evaluated. But in most black households, you don't really, especially back when I was growing up, you didn't really run to a doctor or a psychiatrist or a psychologist or a mental health professional of any level
Mhm.
to go and say, hey, evaluate my child because they're cutting up. You just be like, oh no, they're bad. Spank them, give them a spanking, put them in, then it became time out. You spank them, they still, soon you finish, they cry a little bit, and they be the main ones that's hollering like you killing them.
Mhm.
You know, like for real, they the first ones that's hollering. Then you do the timeout. You tell them to stay in timeout for 30 minutes. They only was in timeout for 3 minutes, and they're going about the business. And it becomes a pattern to the point where the parent just, you get tired of it.
Mhm.
So next thing you know, you don't even say timeout no more. You just let them do whatever. But at what point do you think, as a parent, you should say, hey, let me go ahead on and get my child evaluated to see what's really going on. So by the time they turn 18 or 25, all of a sudden they pop up with this diagnosis, and you be like, well, where this diagnosis come from? They didn't have this before. But do you think they really did have it before, but we as parents just missed it?
I think that's tricky because, like I said, it's a case by case situation. But to answer your question about when you should get the child evaluated, I think as soon as you realize it's a pattern, when you're seeing that everything that you're trying to do is not working, maybe it's time to seek help from somewhere else because all of your approaches are not working. So at that time, maybe it's time to outsource and figure out how else can I support my child, because taking the game, taking the phone,
Mhm.
taking all of these things and whooping them is not working. It's
Right.
just
That's right.
making them act out more. And
Mhm.
Right,
I'm at my wits' ends with it.
right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, do you feel like a lot of parents are embarrassed or denial because they feel like they may have caused it or did something wrong as a
Mhm.
parent?
Yeah.
I think that can play a role, yes.
Yeah, that's
I agree
and
too.
and I think as far as being embarrassed, I think when it goes back to like you were saying, like far as in the black community, it was
Mm-hmm.
shunned upon about far as going to therapy or something like
Right.
that, or if your child was on medication. We knew your child was on medication because he was hopping around, skipping and all that.
Hmm.
And but all of a sudden now y'all went in the bathroom and 30 minutes later he calm. He don't even see us walking past. So we knew something was wrong with him.
Right.
Yeah. So I think as blacks, we do that. But hopefully, like you said, it's getting better now, because it's becoming more common.
Right.
Like a lot of people in
It
therapy, and
is.
I'm like, you should go to therapy because if you want help and you feel as though, like you said, you've done all you can do, no matter if you're an adult or a child, you go get some help
Yeah.
because you keep sweeping that stuff under the rug. You got to realize one day it start off as a little pebble, and then you
Mhm.
got a pile of shit over here and there.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So
because
yeah,
the other communities they be having their kids in therapy at 5, 6 years old, honey.
Hmm.
and
That's so
there's
true.
nothing wrong with it because
Right.
you want to get your child help. You want to make sure
Exactly.
that your child is healthy, and especially you don't want to leave your child here for somebody else. Something should happen to you and they can't
Mm-hmm.
fend for themselves
Yeah.
because they
Exactly.
turn to who knows, they can turn to drugs or crime or whatever. Okay, so you're actually doing this. What do you do in your spare time? Like I know you about helping the girls and
The kids.
mentoring and all of that. But
Mm-hmm.
what do you do? What do Brittany do to lay her head out? Let her head down.
I love to travel. That's number one.
Okay.
And then the second thing is just spending time with my friends and my family. For me, that's rejuvenation. That's a recharge for me.
Right.
Okay. Okay. So what universities did you attend?
I graduated from the Virginia State University.
Oh, you on the
Mm-hmm.
hill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Grand Canyon University.
Okay.
Okay.
Where's Grand Canyon?
It's in Phoenix, Arizona.
Okay. So did you physically go there or was it online?
I did it online. I just physically went to walk across the stage.
Okay. Okay. I was going to
Mhm.
ask you how was Phoenix, Arizona, but
So
okay.
so when you so you didn't want to get your diploma. You actually
No.
wanted to go walk. You
I
like
wanted both.
you wanna go,
Hmm.
yeah. Cause like sometimes when people do online, they be like, send it to me, girl. Whatever. Some people be
Definitely
like,
wanted
nah,
to
I want to
go.
go. I want to walk.
After all that hard work, tears, crying, stress, ready
Yeah.
to give up, I'm going to walk across somebody's stage.
I know
I
that's
know
right.
that's right.
I know that's
I
right.
don't care how far I got to fly. I'm going.
So now, growing up, like, was it because you have your bachelor's and you have a master's? So was
Hmm.
that something that was instilled in you when you were young, like go to school or the military or go to school or
Go get a job.
no, go to school or get wiped off the earth? Like what?
Not wiped off the earth. So, no, I wouldn't say it was necessarily instilled to go to school.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I actually didn't decide that I wanted to go to college until I was a senior in high school. And that idea only came about because I had a mentor that was about to go to Hampton University. And I'm
Okay.
like, oh, college, what would that be like? And
Okay.
so then
Okay.
I started thinking about, like what I might want to major in,
Mm-hmm.
if that's something that I really wanted to do. I know for sure that I didn't want to stay home and work. And
Okay.
so I'm like, school might be the best option for me because it's something that just came natural to me,
Okay.
talking and all.
Talking about, yeah, I get it. You know what? It's all coming together now. It's it's definitely all coming together now. But okay, so you're doing that like in 3 to 5 years. Like, what do you see yourself doing?
In 3 to 5 years, I see myself being fully licensed to counsel.
Okay.
I see myself providing mental health counseling and resources to my community. And then I also see myself just traveling the world more often.
Okay.
Oh, that sounds like a good plan.
Yeah,
Good plan.
it sounds like you have it together, and I have no doubt that
Mm-hmm.
it will not get done.
So, what do you need to do to be fully licensed in mental health at this point? You already received your undergrads and you received your masters. So, what's your next step?
So the next step is to become a licensed resident in counseling,
Mhm.
which I'm working on right now. I just have to submit some paperwork to the board and then it'll be approved. And then I just have to to get additional hours. I get the hours, I'll be able to take my exam, and from there I'll be able to be a fully licensed professional counselor to be able to counsel on my own independently.
Oh, okay. So you'll be like a self-employed where you can open up your own practice
Yes.
and see your own client.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. So right now you're doing it under someone.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So now, inquiring minds would like to know. We know you love to travel. We know you love to help your community. Like, are you in a relationship?
Yes.
Okay. So, one of the questions was, would you use your life coach skills in your relationship?
Oh, I was about to ask her that.
Really?
Yeah. One of our.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I would. And I do because my partner is very understanding.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're all about doing whatever is necessary to make the relationship work. And then finding that common ground where we don't feel like we're compromising our morals and our standards and what it is that we want.
Mm-hmm.
We're all about doing what is best for you in our relationship.
Okay, well, see but see, I think you have to be equally yoked in order
Oh,
to do that.
absolutely. Yeah.
Because somebody who's hasn't matured or on a different level than you, they wouldn't dare understand that. They'd be
Not
feel
at
as though
all.
you're trying to assess them, but personally. But it's just like we're trying to relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, definitely he has to be up on his game, messing with you. You've been hitting the man on medication.
And oh, not the medication. I like you saying assess the relationship because I feel like it's necessary to do check-ins in a relationship because
It is.
sometimes you get so used to how things are, you don't even realize that, okay, this is not even working. This is not what I signed up for.
Right.
But when you check in with each other to figure out, okay, what is working for us, what is not, what has changed since we started dating, and figuring out how to navigate those crucial conversations, that's when a relationship can really grow. But only when you're equally yoked, because if you're unequally yoked, the relationship is never really going to work because you shouldn't be together anyways.
Right. It's a waste of time.
Yeah.
But you know what though? But I get what you're saying, Brittany. But that seems like it is too much to keep checking in. I'm not gonna say like a certain time frame, but be like, okay, well, it's 3 months. All right, well, let's assess, what's different. What it's just like I think that would be like with everyday life going
Mhm.
on, that would be too much.
Yeah, I can understand that. But I think in the sense of not necessarily, okay, all right, it's time to have this check-in this week. Not
Right,
like
right,
that,
right,
but
right.
you might come up upon an argument or an obstacle and it's like, okay, we might have hit this bump in the road because something has changed. What
Right.
was that?
Right.
And how do we move past that? Not just, all right, every 2 weeks, let's have this check-in, get your list together, let's go over what's working and what's not. Not in that sense.
Right.
Okay, that's feeling like a job. I'm not here for no
Right.
checklist. Okay.
Brittany Russell says, do you apply the skills that you learn in your personal life? I guess like well, we just basically really just answer that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, she does. She just told you. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna have check-ins. So bruh, if you ain't what we arguing behind what? Because gas went up and okay. All right, what has changed? Gas went up. You know what I'm saying?
That's it. The bill's still rolling in.
Right. Exactly.
Where's the money coming from?
Right. Nothing stops. Nothing stops. So you have a relationship, and I want to ask what he does, but whatever it is actually the relationship is actually working for you guys.
Yes.
And both of you are young.
Yes.
Any kids in a relationship?
No. No kids.
Okay, good. But then y'all make it do what it do then. Miss Go Get, you got a question? Okay. While she's thinking of her question, does your mate?
I didn't say I had one. So you said thinking of my question.
Oh, okay. But then I can't hardly hear you. You talk so
No.
low like a little mouse.
No.
I'm over here having a hard time. Brittany Russell asked, does your mate or loved ones feel like you always speaking from a clinical standpoint in the conversation?
Ooh, good question, Brittany Russell.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. I feel like when my family and friends come to me, they're just coming to me as Brittany because even before the clinical aspect, I would say I've always been like the go-to person, even when I was younger, just
Okay.
because I'm like a sound voice or a sound approach. So it's not clinical, it's just who I am.
Okay, so you're saying that when you was younger, you always kind of been like a quote unquote life coach. See, so
Yes,
so
in
you
a
had a life
sense.
coach in you already, but you didn't even know
I didn't know.
that was going to be your career.
You're
path.
right, because older people and younger people would navigate towards me, and I would be thinking, why would this stranger just want to come up and tell me what's going on with their kids? But I think that was just God's call on my life,
Yeah,
and I didn't know it
exactly.
at the
Right,
time.
right. So
Oh wow.
when they were actually doing that, like, were you ever burdened down or like this is too much?
I would say sometimes it can be too much. And so
Mhm.
one thing that I've implemented is asking me, do I even have the space and capacity to listen to what your problems are or what you want to ask me?
Mhm.
Because sometimes it can be too much. So just asking a person like, do you have the space to deal with what I'm going through today? And then if I have the space, then go for it. And if not, then we have to check in when I do have the space. I can't give you what I don't have.
Well,
Oh, I'm gonna have to use that.
at
No,
least
you
you're
need to
honest though.
you need to first ask me if I had the space. Don't just come to me with your issues. Ask me do I have the
See, no,
space,
Miss Go
the
Getter. See that? See,
capacity.
that's not gonna work because somebody may be really having a bad day or really on the
No,
edge.
I might not have the capacity. I like that. I'm listening to the life coach. You
I'm a
have to
life
make
coach
sure
too. I just
you
don't
have
have
the
the degree.
capacity.
I
But
think
listen, Britt, before you answer this, let me tell you something. Miss Go, I always say this. Miss Go Getter is one of those ones that if you really feeling down and you like, oh my God, like I might just step out here today. She's one of the ones be like, well, what are you waiting on?
I might not have the capacity
She
that
might not, and
day.
then for her to say she might not have the capacity, it may set somebody off. So she may, so some
Okay,
gave her a
so
word.
if
No,
I
Oh,
don't have the
she
no.
can't do that.
capacity,
Yeah,
I want you to do what
that
you was doing at first.
uh
That's what worked. You got
no
to stick with what works.
uh
but if someone do come to someone, say that person is already overloaded, but everyone don't say what they're going through. So if you
Mhm.
come to someone and you dropping a cruise ship on them and they have a little paddle boat capacity, it's like that's the overload. Now you're going to drown them.
Yeah.
yeah.
Their boat going to sink. So, and I understand, you're saying if you don't have the capacity, because you might not be helpful to that person.
Mhm.
So,
Right.
how do you
Okay.
suggest, like, if that's the case, and say someone comes to me and I'm on that little paddle boat and they have a big cruise ship that they want to just drop on me? How do you suggest that someone handle that as far as, letting them know that you don't have the capacity without sounding harsh?
Yeah. With saying it with some type of empathy and
Um
compassion. Yeah.
so I would just, and I'm speaking for me. It may not
Right.
work for everybody, but that's just a boundary of mine. And
Mm-hmm.
so I would just say I understand everything that you're going through. I'm honestly not in a space where I could be as helpful as you would like me to be right now. Is there anyone else that you could potentially talk about this with in this time?
Right. Okay.
I would try to see who are the other supports other than me, because you literally cannot pour from an empty cup.
Right.
And sometimes, and I'm talking as women, we think that we can take on the world.
Right.
That's
We
right.
want to put
You're
our cape on
absolutely
and save
correct.
everybody.
That's right.
But that's not realistic,
That's not
Right.
because you'll get burnt
possible.
out.
Yeah. Exactly. Now, you as a professional yourself, do you reach out to other professionals or for personal advice or help?
Absolutely. I'm pro therapy.
Yeah.
I have my own therapist. And so, like
Okay.
I said, I like to speak from experience. I'm not saying go to therapy because it's not something that I've done. If someone is coming to me and it might be too heavy for a
Mm-hmm.
life coach, you
Right.
might need to go higher to a professional counselor,
Mhm.
depending on what you're dealing with.
Right.
That's
I
true.
agree,
That's true.
because
You know,
everybody needs somebody to talk
Yes.
to.
you're exactly right, and then it goes back to what you just said earlier about just pouring everything and just seeking one person.
Mhm.
You have to have a team around you that you actually can be able to pull upon, whatever it is you need from
Mhm.
whoever when you can't get it from yourself.
Yeah.
So
Can I ask
definitely,
you a question?
yeah,
So, have you ever heard of like the strong friend of the group?
Right.
yeah,
Mhm.
Like everybody has a group where somebody's the strong friend, but
Right.
often the strong friend also needs someone. So if everyone
exactly
is
right.
coming to you,
Hmm.
well, who do you go to?
Right.
If you're carrying the weight of everyone.
Right.
And can I be honest with you?
Yeah.
I've struggled with that a lot. Like, so I know I need to go see somebody, like, again, and see somebody because um when you feel like when people are constantly tugging on you or confiding in you or whatever they got going on, it does weigh you down.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And you do feel like, dang, well, when I'm down or when I'm low, who can I go to? And it's like nobody is around. Everybody is busy, or you feel like they can't handle it, or you don't want to say anything to them because it's like wasted
Mm-hmm.
wasted time.
That's right on target.
Yeah. So
And that's
yeah.
when you got to tell them about you don't have the capacity.
I
You
like
over that
that.
paddle
I
boat.
like how it sounds when you say it one more time.
You don't have the capacity.
That's true. You know what though? I'm actually learning a lot by speaking with you tonight because you know no matter what type of job you have or in what capacity you serve, you have to have somebody else to go to.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I'm sitting here like, and another thing. Now I'm thinking about it. I see a lot of people post all the time, check on your strong people. I think when they do that, it's like we're saying like your little business, your little car. I think it's just it's not really strong people.
Yeah.
It's just like when somebody I think a lot of time when people post that them out to me when I look at it, when certain people post, it's like, oh, let me hit her up, let me hit him up and find out what's going on because they're reaching out.
Yeah, I agree with that because I feel like the strong friend in the group is often overlooked. The
Yes.
strong friend is always checking to see, well, how your family doing?
Mhm.
How you doing? Do you need anything? But nobody ever reaches out to figure out, does a strong friend need those same things in return?
Right.
Because the strong friend is typically carrying the group.
Right.
Yep.
And so it is a call for help because it's the person saying like, hey, I'm the strong friend. Do you see me?
Mhm. Mhm.
I need help. I need someone to check on me.
Yeah. That's true. That's that's exactly is is true. So I wanted to know two things about Brittany that no one knows just by looking.
Um, two things that no one knows. Okay, so the first thing I would say is that I can't swim. As much as I love to travel, I'm not getting in any water that comes above my chest right here. Once it hit right here, I'm out.
Oh, I ain't going that far.
That's it.
So you good.
But the gag is I took swimming lessons
So you
and
wasted
it's still not
you
there.
wasted some of the money.
I mean, I tried.
But I think like with swimming and stuff like that, I think with anything when once you get older, the sense of fear is there. You like when you're younger, it's like yeah, you're jumping in the water. I know I wouldn't, but that's what they say. When you're younger, like you really don't have a sense of fear. But I think as you get older, it's like no, I don't want to do that.
So yeah, so I took the swimming lessons and I could swim. And then I went out of the country and I decided, oh, I'm gonna go snorkeling. And so when I jumped
Oh
off the
no,
boat, it all went left. My goggles filled up. I couldn't breathe. I'm like, okay, yeah. And at this point, when we got to the beach, I'm like, oh, I'm only stepping a toe in.
right.
That's it for me. No
Right.
more water, just showers.
Oh no, I probably had PTSD to
They
this
were
day.
like, get her out, abort mission, abort. I'm like, I'm ruining these people vacation. Get me out of here.
Oh no, definitely not. No, I don't do water like that. But
Oh my gosh.
I want to try again though. I want to take lessons and just try again. I feel like I can do it
well,
now.
go ahead. Well, look, if you have that courage to do it and you have that willpower that you want to do it, I have no doubt that you won't do it. But them goggles come off again, I don't know.
Just pray for me.
Oh, definitely.
Let's pray that doesn't happen.
Definitely. Does age affect how potential audience may receive you? Example far as age.
I think it depends on how relatable the person is
Mhm.
because no matter how old you are, if you can absolutely relate to who you're talking to, the connection is what is going to allow it to resonate. But if there is no connection, it doesn't matter how old or how young you are. I just don't connect with you.
Right.
Yeah. That
Okay.
makes sense.
So that does make sense. So that's just like if you have a counselor, a therapist or whatever, and you're talking to him or her, and it's like it's just not clicking. It's okay to get another counselor, right?
Yeah. What I have found is that some people would share that they are Black and they may go to a white therapist and they don't feel that they connect with that therapist. And so, in that sense, it's okay to get someone that you feel may be able to relate to you. So, for example, for me, I specifically look for Black therapists because I feel like a Black therapist can relate to me more than a white therapist can. And that's not discrimination or if there's any ill will. It's just my personal preference. I want someone that can relate to my experience. I want you to speak from my experience. You can't tell me about what you haven't lived.
Okay, so let me know. Okay, but now you walked into this one.
Okay, let's do
Now,
it.
okay. So you're thinking because that person is Black, they have walked in your shoes and they have experienced some similar things that you have. So just because of the color of their skin, what about if somebody was Caucasian or Asian? They may have experienced some of what you have experienced as well.
I love that question. You are absolutely right. And that's why I spoke from my perspective
Right.
because everybody experiences is different. So someone may be able to relate to someone who's Asian or someone who's Caucasian or whatever they may be. And if that's what works for you, that's fine. And so that's why I'm only speaking from my experience. I just prefer a Black woman because that's who I feel like will resonate with me the most. And I think that's important in my journey. I want that connection to where I see how our paths cross. Now, therapists are multicultural, so you can have a therapist from a different demographic background that can relate to you, and they may have experienced something that you experienced in a different context, but it doesn't take away from their credentials or their schooling or their experience. And so I don't want it to come off like I'm taking away from them because they're a different background because it's not.
Gotcha. I understood, but I just wanted to
Yeah.
I want to throw that in there for free.
And I like her answer. I like your answer.
Okay. Another question is: have some people looked at you, like you're younger, so you don't understand?
Like they thinking you too young.
Yeah, to really know what
They
you're talking
40
about.
something
Yeah.
and they're not gonna come talk to a 26.
Yes, that is an amazing question because I vividly remember this experience where I was doing community outreach.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went to an older person's house and they didn't even open the door because they're like, "You're a baby. What are you going to tell me about my life? What are you going to tell me about my experience?" And it wasn't until the person opened the door and allowed us to have a conversation. It was like, "You're young, but you are pretty wise for your age." And so, yes, I've definitely encountered that.
So how did that make you feel though? Let's talk about how did that make you feel when they initially went open the door? Because they're saying you're young without even having that conversation with you first.
So initially, I felt the rejection like, why does my age disqualify my knowledge? Or why does my age disqualify how I know I can support and help you? And so initially, it was rejection. And then it was just accepting that, hey, I am young, but you can't minimize what I bring to the table. You can't take away what my effort is going to be and what I can bring to helping you better your life. And so I had to stand on that.
Yeah, without giving you a chance.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it goes back to the woman and being an African American. About the same thing.
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask you if you could change like two things in the city in which you live, what would it be and why? It can be in regards to mental health, whatever it is. Maybe something in your field that can help, your community better.
So I think the first step is being here tonight and just
Right.
showing up and providing more knowledge and understanding in a way that someone can receive it, because sometimes mental health can be so clinical that it's kind of like going over your head.
That's true.
But I want to do it in a way that you can understand and you can receive it, and then you also see the benefits of it. The second thing would be the mentoring. I would like to do some type of wraparound mentoring service between the elementary, middle, and high school. And to explain on that a little more, I would take the top performers from the high school and get them to come back to the middle schools and mentor. I would take the top performers from the middle school to come back to the elementary so that there is that connection piece where it's like, okay, you've been here, you've dealt with this, you may have some tools that can help me. And then I don't want it to seem like we're overlooking the ones who struggle, because in the beginning I was the one who struggled. So I needed somebody to come back and be like, girl,
Right. That's right.
this is not working. I need you to pull it together right now.
That's true. That's true. And it's definitely some good information. And I think a lot of times what we do as African Americans, we lack the knowledge. Like, and a lot of us don't want to because it's like we uncomfortable, and a lot of us don't like to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But in the way this world is going now, you have to be up on the times. Like you have to want to know more and continue to educate yourself, no matter how old you are.
Yeah.
Because it's too much going on,
That's true.
and we need to have more healthy conversation. And I think it starts in the home. Do you agree?
I agree.
Mhm.
And if it can't start at home, then I think that's where mentoring comes in, because sometimes you can't have those conversations at home because they may not be received well. They may be received as disrespectful. And so it makes it hard to express what I'm feeling, because whenever I try to say how I'm feeling, you take it as disrespect. So how can I tell you where I stand
That's true.
Right. That's
or
true
how I
too.
feel in a way that you can receive it?
Mhm.
That's true too. So let me ask you this. I know you said the top performers from high school, middle school. What about the ones that's like in the middle? Or what about the low performers that's in high school, middle school, or even in elementary school?
And so with that program, it would be a bridge between all of them. So in those mentoring groups, it'll be those who may not be performing well, those who need some additional support, so that no one is overlooked. I want it to be a wraparound service. So whether you're the top performer, whether you falling behind, whether you don't care whether you show up or not or do anything, I want you to be able to get something from those mentors coming back.
Oh, that's good. That's good. So are you working towards that? That's something you want to change? Are you working to make that change?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Oh.
Okay, as far as the community, what can we do in the what can the community do to help you facilitate that, if anything?
I think right now, since it's still in the early planning stages,
Mhm.
just connecting with me on social media, maybe following me, maybe sharing this post to get the word out so that other people who may want to be involved will have access to the information, and the
That's right.
people who are trying to move the needle. Um, those are the two biggest things that I can think of right now when it comes to moving this project forward. If there are any people who are up here who are in the school divisions, then just reaching out to figure out how can we come together and help our youth, because we need it. It
Right.
starts so young.
It does. It
You're
does
right.
start young,
You're right.
and we have to share it. And I think that's what we do too as people. We hear, like, just like even like we're on live tonight. People are in tune and they're with it, but they be so into it that they don't share it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, if you want to better your community, you have to share,
Yeah.
Right.
and you have to share wholeheartedly.
Yeah, and I think that's another thing, depending on what the topic is,
Mm-hmm.
people don't want to be viewed a certain way, and so they won't share the information. But the only way that we're going to move forward is getting into those uncomfortable positions.
That's right. That's why we have
You're right.
unapologetic, unfiltered conversations that
Yes.
you may not want to talk about outside of your home. It plays all into it. But while I'm sitting there waiting on that, before we go to our next couple of questions, I have to show y'all the best commercial in the whole wide world. So while we wait on this commercial, we want you guys to share this episode tonight.
Let's go. Yo, listen up, everybody. Have you heard the news? Got a brand new show that's breaking all the rules. Started out from VA and now we on the move from local to global, cause we got something to prove. We came from the bottom.
None of that, but we're gonna go ahead and put that on the table.
Yeah. Don't mess around and be single after this.
Keeping it hot with Miss Clink on the mic, ain't no time to stop. All work over here, still we having fun. Yeah, we say it like it is, ain't no holding our tongue. Go get us on the team, yeah, we getting it done. And shout out to Travell, yo, you number one. It started with a dream that turned into
Oh, we're not eating rat. No.
No, well, I don't know, but let's get back to this cooking. So you
ticking. If it ain't about to change, mind your business.
Now wait again, minute. Wave your hands with it. Wait again, minute. Wave your hands with it. Now wait again, minute.
relationships, and because that's one of the things.
Now wait again, minute. Wave your hands with it. Now wait again, minute. Wave your hands with it. Now wait again, minute. Wave your hands.
Okay, now that we're back, Brittany Russell asks, in what ways do you connect with people that it don't seem so taboo when it comes to therapy?
For me, it's just having open conversation. Just having that open dialogue. And sometimes it's okay to disagree.
Mhm.
Like it may be taboo to some, and then some be more accepting. But the only way you're gonna figure out where everyone stands is to first have the conversation.
That's true. And having that uncomfortable
Mm-hmm.
conversation.
That's where the growth happens.
You're exactly
When you're
right.
not walking on the eggshells around the conversations that need to be had.
That's absolutely correct. Um, I wanted to ask you, what are your pet peeves if you have any? Like, what really like? Yeah, you sitting up here and you was like, first you were nervous and then you was like, yeah, I'm rolling with it. But what gets under your skin?
Uh, so the first thing is having to constantly repeat myself.
Oh, okay.
Cause why are you not listening? You heard me the first time.
But sometimes
They
they
was thinking
may
about something else.
right. They mind was somewhere else. Yeah.
Okay, but tell me that. So now I don't have to be mad because I have had to say it again. Just tell me,
Okay.
okay, listen, I wasn't even listening to you. I mean, I heard you, but I didn't hear you. At that
Right.
point, I'm like, okay, cool. But now you just blatantly not listening to me. I'm not feeling
Yeah, you've been disrespectful. Okay, so not listening is one of them. What's
it.
another
Yeah.
one?
The second one is people who do not take accountability, meaning everything that happens is everyone else's fault. Nothing is your fault. So where do you fall in the equation?
Right. I think that's one of my pet peeves too. Ugh.
Yes.
Yeah.
You
So
out here creating your own storm, and now it's everybody else's fault that
Everybody
it's
else problem.
raining.
that's true. That's true. Do you think that a lot of times when we create our own storms and we continue just keep going around and around and around, it's something that it's just us. It's
It
not
could be.
yeah, not other people.
It really could be something that's internal. But
So
sometimes you don't know it until you might be called out on it,
okay.
or you could know it and just be like, "Well, that's just how I am."
Oh,
Mm.
oof.
Excuse me, that's not gonna
Yes.
work over here.
That's you know what? That little right there, a lot of people use that well that's how she is or how he is. No, that's how he or she was with you. They're not that way with me. So do you think that it's okay to stop them right there at what how they were with somebody else but not with you?
If that's your limit, absolutely. If it's
Yeah.
not working for you, then you have to address that, or you're gonna be uncomfortable in that situation because something is taking place that you're not okay with.
Yeah. Yeah. What are some things that can help with self-reflection?
Okay, so I would say journaling helps with self reflection,
Okay.
preferably guided journaling. Some questions that make you think about things, not just blank pages where you're just like dumping everything that's on your mind, but something that questions different areas of your life that you may have not thought of in that way.
Okay, so you said guided journaling when you have different questions of things you have not thought of. So where do you get the questions from? Like, is
Miss
that
Go get a talk in the mic for me,
oh?
please. Okay.
Can y'all hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay, okay, but okay, you said guided journaling, like directing and questions that you might not have thought of. So if it's questions that you might not have thought of, like how do you suggest that one come up with the questions, or is there a certain type of journal that you can buy that have like life questionings
Like a
in it,
workbook.
or
Mhm.
do you
Okay.
offer that?
So, excuse me, there's a combination. I have an ebook that also has guided journaling.
Ooh, okay.
If anyone wants to get that, it's on bloomingwoodbee.com. If you want to take a more guided journaling approach,
Mm-hmm.
if you are looking for something free, there's also Pinterest. You can just look up guided journaling prompts.
Okay.
You can just Google based upon the topic that you might be dealing with.
Okay.
And then you can just Google, like, let's say it's relationships. Well, guided journaling prompts for relationships, or
Oh,
guided
okay.
journaling prompts for one single household or one
Oh
parent
wow.
household. So you can kind of tailor it to what it is that you feel like you need
Mm-hmm.
and journal from there.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Should boundaries be the same across the board, or does it differ depending on the person that you establish the boundaries with?
I think the boundaries starts with the person who are setting the boundaries. You know who you may be willing to bend your boundaries for, and you
Mhm.
know who is an absolute no. And so it is based upon you when it comes to your boundaries. I
Okay.
can't really say, oh, well, you shouldn't do X, Y, and Z because only you know is what is going to work for you.
Mhm. Mhm. Okay, gotcha. So, I'm loving this episode. Like, I have learned so much from a
Me
26
too.
year old.
Me too. I'm just sitting
And
here like,
mind
okay.
you, this 26-year-old, I remember when she was born. So it's like, oh my God, like her mom and dad is old.
Not
Like,
you.
Oh,
You
not
do
remember
that
when
mean
she
I'm
was
old?
yeah, you, your mom and your daddy
Oh
old, but not me. Definitely not. But to see, I know your parents, I know your whoever's connected to you, um, is proud of who you are because I mean, I don't know your journey or whatever, but just looking at you and like I say, when you speak with confidence.
hmm
You speak from experience and you speak from a place of you really want to help somebody. And I know your parents and you should be happy. Like you should feel
Thank you. I appreciate
you should
that.
really feel good. Miss Go Getter, what did you take away from tonight?
Well, I took away a lot tonight. Ooh. I know I need to get me a guided journal.
Oh
Well, I
gosh.
already see a therapist.
I love that.
But I don't have a life coach. And listening to you, I'm thinking that's a good idea too.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
like that.
Like, I really think that's a good idea, a life coach. So I think I'm going to get me a life coach. So now I know one, I need a guided journal, I need a life coach. I already had a therapist on deck. But,
You better
the
get suited
two,
and booted.
what? I'm
Okay.
about to be prepared,
That's
honey.
it.
You know, and, and although she's only 26, it didn't feel like I was talking to a
Not
26-year
not at
old.
all. Not at all.
And to me, a 26-year-old is a kid.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it didn't feel that way. So what you said about it depends on the conversation you have with that person, no matter their age. And if you connect, it don't matter the age, you're gonna connect regardless of the age.
Yeah.
That was so true. So I learned a lot, and I really thank you for coming though, because you taught me a lot. I was like, okay, um, what is she doing? Oh, she's a mentor. See, I'm thinking you was a mentor for the kids, but when you hit the life coach part, I'm like, life coach. Wow, that's like what is her name? Ayala Van Zant.
Right.
Mhm.
I'm like,
Mhm.
wow. But
Yeah.
that's something that you can be looking into. You can be
Mhm.
like on TV on her level,
Yeah, that's the goal.
Yeah.
because she's life coaching everybody.
And everything.
Yeah.
Yes,
Mhm.
I
God.
mean, I just want to see us all win. We can
Right.
all be the best version of ourselves, and that's where we dominate and we go above where we started.
Girl, you
I'm
better say
I'm
it
big
again,
on
girl.
just reaching back and helping the next woman or the next teen or the next girl just elevate. I mean, I want us all at the top because it's enough room for all of us.
Right. It is. It is. It is. And I just love that
Mhm.
we get to have these type of conversations on
Yeah.
Wait Again a Minute. Not just plug in Wait Again a Minute, but I mean it is what it is. But to have because we always see, well, not always, most of the time we see people, our younger people, in a negative light. But and we only see them, every now and again when they're doing something positive or doing
Right.
something that,
Mhm.
Right.
moving forward in life and making a healthier life for you and people around you.
Yeah.
But what I took away from tonight was, I'm like Miss Go Getter. I've learned a lot. Um, and I did a lot of self reflecting listening to you.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely didn't look at the age. All I saw was experience. And like I said, somebody who's very confident in what they were speaking about. And when you are confident in what you're speaking about, people are going to listen.
Right.
Yeah.
Because
Ears are going to open,
right.
hearts are going to, gonna open. And that's why you are able to connect with the people on a level that you do
Mm-hmm.
Thank
because you
you.
are passionate about what you do.
I appreciate that. And I just want to plug in that back in March of
Hmm.
2021, I wrote down in my planner that I wanted to be on With a Gam Minute podcast.
Are you serious?
And although we had never connected, in this
Right.
aspect,
Right.
I didn't know how it was gonna happen. And so to be here tonight, it has just been such an honor. I love what y'all are doing for the community,
Thank you.
the outreach that you have, how open, honest, and
Yeah.
transparent you are. No matter what your walk of life is, you're
That's right.
accepted here.
That's right.
And so that's what I felt when I was sitting in this seat tonight.
I was just, girl, let me get to see. I need some tissue because but when I tell you, like, for me, like, I don't know for the other young ladies that's on Way to Get Men, but for me, that's what it's about. Um, I have no words. Only thing I can do is say God is good.
That's it. All the
Because like
time.
you said, like you don't know. But no, you didn't know you was gonna be up here tonight, but you didn't know that you were helping me either. So when I tell you like it's like a full circle and God works in mysterious ways because a lot of people were name were dropped, but just kind of went down and figure out, who was gonna be in this. So you're here today because this was what it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was.
And
It was meant
hopefully
to
We
be.
are all exactly what we're supposed to be in this
Right.
moment.
in this
Right.
time. That's right.
This is
And
our moment.
right. And hopefully when people see this, whether it's today, tomorrow, or next week, that they will get all of what you put out because it definitely came from the heart and you're passionate about what you do. So and I hope that whatever it is you do, whatever it is you want, that God makes it happen.
Thank you. I appreciate
And
that.
continue to help out our community. And if anybody, reaches out or needs something, I'm not a life coach. I don't have the capacity. So if you're watching,
Yeah.
Miss Go says she don't have it either. Ida says she don't have it either. Oh, Ida still has it. But we're gonna push them along to you. And
Okay.
but the thing is to make an effective change in our community. To
Right.
better
Yeah,
our community.
absolutely.
So I have
Absolutely.
a question for you though. So you said you put that in your journal March of last year, right?
Hmm.
So you're 2 months short of your year anniversary of
Yeah.
documenting that. But what was your reason, may I ask, that you were saying you wanted to come on? I'm going to be on Wait Again Minute. What did you vision or put in your journal that your reason for coming on Wait Again
So
Minute?
honestly, in the beginning, I was thinking, I mean, I don't even know what I would go up there and say, but it just seems like they have such influence and such impact, and it's open, it's honest, and it's transparent, and it's connecting with the people. We need more of that. People that we can connect with. Like you come up here and unapologetically stand in who you are. That is one of my morals, one of my core values. And so I align with that with you all. And so I'm like, I mean, I don't know what they're doing, but I want to be a part. So, like I said, to be here tonight has honestly been such an honor because I wrote it down and it was in the early stages. And I'm like, I mean, I don't know how this is going to happen, but if God make a way, then I'll come here, nerves and all, and figure out what I'm going to say up here.
And did it. And
Like
did
you
it.
did today, because it didn't seem like you had to figure out that long.
No, not at all.
It
But
was just rolling off.
we have one more question. People just keep asking questions, and she has to go home. People, hit her up, people. But the one last question is, why doesn't she coach men?
So my dad has mentoring for men and young men. So I leave that lane to him.
Okay.
That's just not my capacity. I don't feel like I can relate to a man 100%.
Right.
But for a woman or a young girl, I can relate to them more because we've shared similar experiences or we will at one point or another. And so that's why I just stay in that lane because I just feel like that's where I'm called to.
Right. Okay. And so, how can people become a mentor or join your mentor program?
So if you want to become a mentor or join my mentor program, you can go to www.bloomingwithbe.com or you can follow me on social media at Blooming with B Life Coach. That's for Facebook, and Instagram it's Blooming with B Coaching.
Can you spell that? Make sure everybody knows.
BLOOMING.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. Well, we will have Miss Go get a pin that because I have yet to learn how to do that.
Oh, no.
So there's a transparent moment. But before we go, y'all, I really, for those who are watching in the city of Suffolk and surrounding areas, on Sunday, well, I keep saying June, but it's January the 30th, 2022, from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. We're going to have the Stop the Violence Forum here in the city of Suffolk. So if you are a resident of Suffolk, we would love to see you come out, bring your kids because it starts with the kids as well. And we post the flyer. We'll keep posting it. We want you guys to share this episode. We want you to share the flyer to better our community.
Yeah. If you gain anything from it, even if you don't want to share it on your story, at least share it with somebody through direct message. We understand that you may not want to put it on your page, but get the word out. Send some text messages. If you know this will help somebody that's in your life that may have shared something with you, share it with them so that we can all become better. We're a team.
That's
Nobody
right.
can do it by themselves.
That's right.
Right.
It definitely, you're absolutely correct. It's a together. We have to do it together. It's just not one person. So, you've already said what can we tell? I know what your goal was, but what has your experience been since you've been here? Like, it's been cool. It's been chill.
Yeah, it's been chill. I mean, I feel accepted. I feel loved. I feel welcome. I mean, I don't know what else to say except if you considering Wait Again a Minute, then you got to hit them up. You got to
Hey.
go for it. You got to take the risk.
And that's right. That's right. So we're gonna get on out of here. We want you guys to share this episode tonight. But before we leave, we're gonna play our theme song one more time. So no, Brittany does not know the song, but she is gonna bop her head
I am.
because she does let her hair down. Don't let this fool y'all.
Let's go. Yo,
Listen up.
everybody.
Have you heard the news?
Got a brand new show that's breaking all the rules. Started out from VA
And now we on the move.
From local to global, 'cause
We got something to prove.
Came from the bottom,
Now we at the tippy top.
to hold it down for our people,
'Cause we all we got.
It's a cold, cold world,
But we keeping it hot.
with Miss Pink on the mic,
Ain't no time to stop.
all work over here.
But still we having fun.
Yeah, we say it like it is.
Ain't no holding our tongue.
Go get us on the team.
Yeah, we getting it done. Shout out to Travell, girl, you number one.
It started with a dream that
Turned into a vision.
Now educated new generations
This is our mission.
Ears to the streets. Yeah,
We steady politicking.
If it
Ain't about to change, mind your business.
Now wait again, minute. Wave your hands with it. Wait again, minute. Wave your hands with it. Now wait again, minute. Wave your hands with it. We top pics like we all up on the gram with it. Now wait again, minute. Wave your hands with it. Now wait again, minute. Wave your hands with it. Now wait again, minute. Wave your hands with it. We top pics like we all up on the gram with it.
Good night.
Good night.